The first half was the secular part. You'd rotate through each choir singing a couple songs, and then the last half was always the Christmas cantata, which was the sacred portion of the show, and we would tell the Christmas story through song and narration, the biblical Christmas story through song and narration. And it was always one of my favorite times during the cantata because all 300 students were on stage at the same time and singing in 6-part harmonies, and it was always challenging music, but a lot of fun. And so, for years, St. Mary's and the ACT committee, the adult catechetical team, and had always, we have a lot of musical talent out at our church, and they had always tried to do some sort of a Christmas program and let the various groups come in. And a few years ago, I pitched this idea to Bob and the committee and said, we ought to try a cantata. And they said the same thing. What's a cantata? And so I shared with them the story of, it's telling the biblical story through song and narration, and kind of gave them a rundown of how I saw it unfolding. And they called and said, yeah, let's do it. And I went, okay. So we put a ad in the bulletin for all singers and musicians who would be interested in participating to come to this call-out meeting. And as we sat there in the call-out meeting, the first question comes up is, what's a cantata?
So you got a group of people to show up, and then they loved
to sing. They had no idea what they were going to be singing, but they loved to sing.
So, Bob, I'm going to ask you, when she came to you with this idea, what was your first thought?
Well, it was interesting because it was 2022, that fall. The committee that Christy mentioned, we decided that we would try to put on another program with various music groups within the church. And for some reason, we did not get much of a response. We had done it a few years ago and got a great response, had about an hour-and-a-half program with various groups, soloists, whatever. But we only had like 2 different groups that were available or could do it. So Christy sent this email and said, well, I've got this idea for something on a much grander scale and blah, blah, blah. So Anita Navarra, who's our Director of Religious Education, and I, through the ACT Committee, met with Christy. And I think as she was explaining what she wanted to do, our jaws just dropped and hit the table because we thought, how in the world is this going to happen? So we went back to the committee and we discussed it, and everybody said, oh, yeah, that sounds great. But how is this going to happen? So Christy so we met and we talked to her again, and it's like, okay, if you think you can do this, everybody will help in any way we can. So I went to that first call-out meeting, and there was a lot of excitement in the air. And then I'll never forget, because I love to narrate and do that type thing. So I had told Christy that if she needed a narrator, I would be happy to do that. So we end up with 2 narrators, and we go back and forth. But I'll never forget the very first run-through where everybody got together. In other words, the musicians would practice on their own, the narrators on their own, the actors, And then that first call-out, I'm sitting there, and I was blown away. The music was just fantastic, and to see it all come together. Oh, yeah, this goes with this song, and all that. And I remember Christy at one point telling me to remember to focus because I was sitting there getting so wrapped up in the music and everything that I was forgetting my cues as to when I was supposed to narrate.
Hey, Christy will get you. She'll keep you in line.
Yeah. And if you know Christy, when she puts her mind to something, I don't think anybody else could have done this. Yeah. It is just unbelievable.
So you guys would practice separately and then come together.
Yeah, so we start in September. Actually, the kickoff is always the week after the Lowe's Pellets and Grain Customer Appreciation Day because I have to get through that event before I can start the next one.
Oh, yeah.
But and so the choir starts singing then, and the whole month of September we do sectional practices where I'm meeting with just the ladies, altos and sopranos for an hour, and then just the guys, and we meet 2 nights a week, so Thursdays and Sunday nights, and we start working on the music. It's in total 17 songs, I think, is what this year, 15 or 17 songs, and actually this year 2 of them are repeats from previous years, but other than that everything else is is
Wow.
newer songs. So it takes a lot to learn all that, and you're doing in some cases unison, in some cases it's 3-part harmony, but and so then when October hits, we bring the guys and the girls together, and start chiming through, working out all the harmonies and stuff in full. And then by November, the musicians come in. And so we have Don Blankman, who plays bass for us, and Mark Burkert, who plays electric guitar, and then Josh Shields is on drums, and I play piano. So we include them starting in November, and then of evenings or whatever, that's when I start working with the characters, the narrators, so you can kind of see throughout as the story unfolds, we introduce one of the characters at a time, whether it's Mary and Joseph, and then the innkeeper, and then the angels, and then the shepherds and the wise men, and eventually you end up with, that live nativity, minus any animals, up there in front of church, and with powerful narrations that not only give you the biblical scripture, introducing those particular characters, but then the lessons that we all are to take from them being a part of that story, right, in the year 2025. So,
how many people in total kind of put this together?
Oh, wow. Let's see. The choir itself is, I'm going to roughly guess 50. Well, and then you got the youth choir. So we have another 20 kids with our youth choir, 25 kids probably with our youth choir. So, and then characters, 13 characters. Yep. And then 2 narrators. And then Meredith Akra. She is, she's kind of my rival when it comes to decorations and event planning and all. So she pulls together the costumes, all the decorations in the church for that night, and we do a cookie punch reception kind of before. As we open the doors, you can come in and get your seat and then go grab a couple cookies and a drink and enjoy that while the bell choir is playing songs.
It sounds beautiful.
It is.
Just
It is.
hearing
It's
you
a
explain
night
it.
of prayer and reflection. I remember I was fortunate to be able to be a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, and Christmas growing up was always my favorite time of year, and I loved it when my mom would get out the decorations in the house, and the lights were off, but you had the glow of the Christmas lights and the Christmas village. And I can remember as a little girl laying down, pretending I was an inch tall and living in that little village, and would play around there just for hours, and so Christmas has always been a very special time, but I found myself as a young mom so focused on, do I have the presents bought? Do I have them wrapped? Do I have, going through the checklist of things to do and making sure that everyone is taken care of in your life so that they know they are loved, they know they are thought of, and you lose what the true meaning is all about. Growing up, the low kids always got, 3 Christmas presents, because if 3 presents was good enough for baby Jesus, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, then 3 presents was good enough for the low kids. But still, you get so lost in the hustle and the bustle of the season that you lose focus. And I know several times I would have to take that step back and gain perspective of what truly is important here. And then eventually, as I got involved with youth ministry out at church, there was a few girls that had come to me initially and said, okay, Christy, you're always saying everything that you need to know about life and how to live it you can find in the Bible, but we don't get it, right? There's that disconnect. And so I said, okay. And I sat down with these girls and I said, give me every Bible story that you remember. And they just rattled them off, Old Testament, New Testament, and I kind of mapped them out. And from there, we started a Bible study where I'd walk them through one story at a time, and here's the relevance to your life, and here's what you're supposed to know about God in this story, and things of that sort. And that Bible study grew to probably 20, 30 kids every Sunday night out of our house. And at Christmas time, so everybody always asks, where do you get the narrations? Where do you get the narrations? And I was like, well, a lot of the narrations, especially the one that Bob's reads from the lectern, are scripture, right? So God wrote those. But the rest of the narrations were the Bible study lessons. And every year I would get out my nativity and bring it down in front of the kids, and we'd talk about each of the characters and what they were to learn from that story. So anyway, that's how it all got going.
And speaking of the narrations, like Christy said, there's the scriptural part, and then there's the contemporary part. And so two of us are narrators, Monty Shields and myself, and I read the scriptural part, and then Monty responds with the contemporary part. So we go back and forth before the next scene with the actors, and that's very powerful. And in fact, I know especially that first year, it was very, very powerful. They all are, but that first one was just unbelievable. And it's an emotional experience, too. And I know, especially after the first one, there were a number of people I'd see out in the community after they saw it or at church, and they would say, that was my Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it really brought home the true meaning.
And everybody gets so busy. You were talking about it, and I have 3 kids, and it seems like we have school plays and we have school concerts, and you lose it. And I will tell you, and this is probably horrible to say, during COVID, it caused us to slow down at my house, and we really were able to be part of Christmas, and it's kind of changed. It slowed us down during that time of year. And, just what you guys are talking about, that's so amazing. And just listening to you, Bob, talk, I can hear the narration. I'm ready for you to start reading me books.
Yeah. Get out the phone book and start reading it, Bob.
Yeah. We're going to put you on air every morning. You're going to read us a Christmas story.
I do love having a mic in front of me for some reason, but I do really enjoy that part of it. Yeah.
So when is this?
So December 6th and 7th this year. We are sold out for the Sunday performance, but we do have tickets available for the Saturday. That was kind of one of the funny things about the first year, as I'm explaining to the group at the call out what a cantata is. One of the first questions was, do you really think anyone's going to want to come to this? And I'm like, I think people will. And I played a couple of the songs that I had chosen, and I read a couple of the narrations, and then the next question was, okay, so what are you going to do when you fill the church and there's no seats left? I'm like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago we didn't have anybody coming to the thing. But
that escalated quickly.
Yeah. And that first year we did, we literally had to pull out every folding chair our church had, and we were like, what are we going to do here? And so by year 2, when I went back to Father John, and I was like, okay, so if you want to do the cantata again, I got to get started on it, putting it together. Do you want to do it? Do you not? And he's like, well, duh. And I said, okay, well, what changes? He goes, well, we need 2 nights. We can't pack the church that full again. So we planned it for 2 nights, and it's Saturday, Sunday. We'd like to do it the very first weekend in December. So the 6th and 7th is when it is, and we do have tickets available. So to get tickets, you can either stop in to the St. Mary's Church office and pick up tickets for Saturday night, or there are a few left online. If you go into the St. Mary's Facebook page, there will be an Eventbrite link that you can click on to get tickets online. So.
And is there a cost associated?
No, it is free, but we do a free will donation. All the money this year will stay within our local community through various organizations just helping those who are less fortunate and need a little assistance during this time.
St. Mary's, I was talking to you before, they're always doing something. I feel like they're always involved in some type of outreach, support, just something going on. So the dollars spent and donations are definitely probably appreciated, but they're going to go to something here in the community that's going to really impact somebody.
Yeah. That's what we have to take care. We are our brother's keeper, and we have to take care of each other in any way that we can. And so this is kind of our chance. Those of us who love music, we're very fortunate to be at a church where we're allowed to do this, and to have Father John who lets us do this, because we kind of take over the whole space. Father John came to me after the first year, and he's like, "Is there any way we can raise this up? Like, by the time the wise men were kneeling down front, if you were standing or sitting halfway back in the pews, we couldn't see anyone." And I was like, "Oh, I can. I mean, I can bring in staging and elevate everything, but." I mean, it's possible, but I don't know if you're...
Watch out, Chris will be bringing a Lowe's truck or dump truck or something in there.
So it's been fun to see it develop, and it's been very rewarding. For me, it was a bucket list thing. I always wanted to do it, but never had the time when my kids were young, and I was chasing them to put in the effort into doing it. And all those youth choir kids that I directed for years kept reminding me, when are you going to do that cantata thing you keep talking about? And so, that first year I was very emotional seeing that come together, because it was always something that I wanted to do, but didn't know if I'd have the support to do it. And everybody did. They just embraced it. And now it's... everybody looks forward to it. So, and seeing the singers come back and all has been neat. So,
and having it in the evening really adds a lot to it too, because it's dark outside and there's soft lighting inside with Christmas trees lit and everything, and it's just beautiful. It just really is. And that first year, you're right. I mean, our church holds over 900 people, and we were, like Christy said, pulling out every chair we could find. So, counting actors and everything, I mean, we probably had about 1,000 people in that building.
Yeah.
So the reason for the tickets, mainly, as we said, there's no cost, is to control the crowd. So I think we're limiting it to about 800.
800 each night. Yep.
We won't tell Nate Stromer about the extra seats being added or anything like that.
Well, I think the statute of limitations has kicked in. That was 3 years ago. So.
Okay, we're good. We're good then.
We're in the clear.
So if he hears, Nate, if you hear this, you can't do anything about it.
Sorry, Nate.
So Bob.
Uh-oh. Is that me moving?
We're good now. So, Bob, tell me, when this came, you said, it was an amazing thing. You kind of wondered what it was. It went well. What is your favorite part of the entire experience?
Well, my absolute favorite part, when you look at all 3 years that we've been doing this now, was like I think I mentioned earlier, the very first time that we all got together for the run-through. It wasn't even dress rehearsal. It was just getting everybody together for the first time, where the singers, the actors, the narrators, all the behind-the-scenes people were there. And the emotion was just unbelievable. I remember I was sitting there, my back, where I sit, my back is to the choir. And the very first song, I was just blown away. It's very, very powerful. And then you see how it all connects, how the songs go with the narration and the acting. It's all just wonderful. And I think that is probably my fondest memory. But the other thing I've always loved is Christy always gives me the opportunity to do the last narration, and it's a very powerful, emotional thing that kind of sums the whole thing up, and that is usually the highlight of what I'm doing.
We want people to pause in the busyness that comes with the holidays and reflect on what is the real reason that we are all here. What is the real reason that we are all in the year 2025 here in Greensburg, Indiana, together? Why did God put us together? Why weren't we born in the 1800s? Why weren't we born in California? Why aren't we living out there? Why are we all here together? And there's a greater purpose to our lives, and this is a night that just allows people to sit back and reflect on, gain some perspective on where they're at in life and what's important and what they hope and pray for their kids, and be able to then carry that feeling through the Christmas season. One of my favorite parts about the night, and it comes in the first narration that Bob gives, is we ask the audience to not applause at the end. And I picked that up. I did not come up with that idea on my own, but instead with when I was at Purdue, it was something that one of the directors did when I was there, and I always really appreciated it. But you know, for those of us who perform, you're used to that applause, hearing somebody clap for you at the end of whatever it is, the song, the musical, the program, fill in the blank. But one of the things that we ask as we start this is, we want this to be a night of prayer and reflection. At the end, when you applause, it releases that emotion that develops as we build the story. We don't want you to release that. We want you to take that with you and go share it with the community. And so we ask them to hold their applause and just exit, in silence. And
that's got to be an experience all on its own.
Yeah.
Just like it just ending and that's it.
I know when I was walking out, when I was young and in high school, a teenager, and I would go up to watch the PMO Christmas show, I would walk out of there just ready to explode. And yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that, Christy, because I was going to mention that same thing, that really sets the tone, that this is a prayerful, reverent evening. We're going to tell the Christmas story. And I've been told by some people that, they get caught up in the emotion, and like their spouse will be sitting there, and after one of the songs or something, they're ready to clap, and they'll be elbowed, say, quit that. They told you not to do that.
Yeah.
There was one scene last year, though, that was kind of cool. The Shepherds, they do a great job. They're three young high school guys. And there's one part where they're up there and they're just clapping and everything. Well, you could hear a little spattering of clapping going on and that's when a lot of the elbowing started. So the very last night, Christy said, let's tell them they can clap at that one point. And boy, they got into it.
Yeah.
It was really neat.
Yeah, the characters are really fun. And this year we got some new ones involved. So first of all, baby Jesus is always a real baby in our parish. And so, it started with Nolan Coors, which is Craig and Anne Marie's. And then last year we had Scotty Rogers, Emily and Shan Rogers' little boy. And this year we've got Winston Little, who is just a month old. He was at his first practice Sunday, this past Sunday, tucked away in Mama, who's playing Mary. So Brianna Little is playing Mary. And so that's always neat. And in a perfect world, I want to get a picture with all the baby Jesuses lined up, and I think, how many years can we keep this going, right? That'd be a cool picture to see. And then maybe by the time they're in high school, they can be Jesus in the Passion and come full circle or something. So, but we've, our wise men this year, we've got Larry Bishop, Spencer Burkert, and Cody Reed. Shepherds are 3 seniors, so this is going to be our last year with them as the Shepherds. But Ethan Smith, Jacob Schneider, and Wade Schutte. Our angels this year, Sarah Schneider, Haley Gorel, and Brittany Krieger. Who am I missing? Oh, the innkeeper is Andy Laudick. And Joseph is Rocky Miano. Who was Joseph last year. So some different characters, and they're working on their staging and their timing and stuff now, and to be able to deliver it. So it's cool.
So it's all different age groups. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it is. We got the youth choir, which is anywhere from 6th grade to senior in high school. And then you've got just this adult group, right? Like whether they were in the adult choir or whether they were just people who love to sing, right? And we open it up to anyone. Like we know some of the smaller churches around can't pull something off like this, so we invite any of them in that want to join us to sing and to sing along with us. And so it's neat. It's neat.
The end of the cantata is neat, too, because, as Christy said, we ask for them not to applaud, but each group leaves individually.
Oh,
like
wow.
the wise men, they will bow to baby Jesus and walk off, and the angels and the shepherds, and then the choir will start singing Silent Night at the end and then hum as they walk out and the narrators walk out, and we all gather in the gathering space behind the sanctuary.
It's got cold chills.
And then all the people, as they leave silently, they get to mingle with the people, and that's where they get to release their emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Because they get to talk to the characters and everyone who was in it, and they're just, well, I think we almost have to close the doors on them because they want to stay so long and talk to everybody. So the whole evening is
Christmas
just unbelievable.
kicks off that night
It does.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds good. So once again, it's December 6th and 7th.
6th and 7th.
They need to go to your Facebook to
St. Mary's Facebook page to get the tickets online through the Eventbrite portal, or they can go into the church office, call in there and see. I know she's got some there. So,
Okay.
And there are tickets that are getting exchanged all the time. Like if somebody gets sick or something that can't go, so check back or whatever if some ends up selling out. But yeah, another great response, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody on that night and watching it all come together. There's so many people that work behind the scenes. Meredith Aker, I mentioned, and we've got the hospitality committee at church that serves the cookies, and there's the parking committee that makes sure everybody is, can get either dropped off at the doors or in a parking spot.
That's a lot of cars to park.
It is. It is. Yeah.
In fact, the first year when we did not limit the number of people, we were told later that the people, especially from out of town, would come in and see the parking lot full, and we had a lot of people who turned around and left because there was no place to park, or we would have had more people than we did originally.
We need to put it out in the field out there by the church.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a big.
That would be a big tent, though.
Yes, it would. That would be a very big tent, and cold.
And cold, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining me here in the studio and hearing about the Christmas cantata. See?
Yeah,
Very
you got
good.
it. See, it's just flowing off the tongue
took
now.
me 30 minutes of us talking for me to get it correctly, but I got it. So I know that I'm definitely going to look into going.
Good.
So we definitely
Good.
need to get people. Is there anything else you guys have?
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's called the Unexpected King. That is the theme this year, and it's based off of a song. So if you're looking for it online or whatever, look for the Unexpected King. But yeah, hope you can make it.